Hello, guys. Good evening. I hope you all can hear me. Let's start in 5 more minutes. So stay tuned, and I hope you would have done the questions which I have sent it last week. Keep practicing question number 31 to 32 until others join, and we'll exactly discuss it from another 3 minutes more. Okay. Okay, let's discuss. Now see the question number 30. Now they're asking us, which of the following statement concerning the Consumer Rights Act 2015 is not correct? So they are asking us the incorrect term. A term that restricts a consumer's legal rights is void. A term that allows a business to unilaterally alter the terms of the contract is void. A term is deemed unfair, cannot be enforced by the consumer. Okay. So what the examiner is requesting from us here. So he's asking us which of the following statement concerning the Consumer Rights Act is false or is not correct. So technically, so under the act, okay, the terms which are void includes what? The things, the first one, the first transaction, it restricts a consumer's legal right is void. That is fair. And those which allow the business to unilaterally change the terms of the contract is also fine. But the term which is deemed unfair cannot be enforced by the consumer. So that is false. So if things deems to be unfair, that could not be enforced by the consumer. So the word they're using cannot is the word it makes it not correct. So these are a little bit of theoretical areas where consumer rights are not massively discussed, but however, you need to understand where it relates to. Now, the consumer rights, you need to understand it does not allows or it does not applies to businesses. It is always business to customers. It is not B2B. So you have to choose your answer between B to C, business to customers. So have that common knowledge also. That common sense is very important. Otherwise, now when it comes to law questions, they will give you too many facts for you to think. So you will have a point of doubt. Okay, should it be the answer? Or you might be in a situation where you will be confused. Okay. So for those things, you need to understand the area and the clarity to which scope this law is belonging to. So that is very important. Then, in the next question, they're asking us which of the following statements concerning the impact of UK's human rights legislation is not correct. So, when it comes to UK's human rights legislation, they're asking you the incorrect one. Let's say legislation must be interpreted in a manner that is compatible with European Convention on Human Rights, isn't it? That is correct. But we are looking for the incorrect one. So this seems to be okay. New bills must be accompanied with a statement of compatibility with the European Convention on Human Rights. Yes. Now see, new bills means you're passing on new laws. So when you're passing new laws, that needs to be accompanied with the statement of compatibility. So in terms of human rights, that seems to be correct. Then they are telling that common law must be interpreted in line with the decisions of European Court of Human Rights. That also seems correct. The courts may strike out primary legislation that is incompatible with the European Convention on the Human Rights. Can law strike out the primary legislation? No. So they can only strike out secondary or not primary legislation. The primary legislation cannot be striked out. Okay. If it is secondary, then this statement is correct. Okay. So the answer for this question is going to be the option 4. However, you need to understand that all the legislation must be interpreted in a manner that is compatible with the convention. So first, and any new bills must be accompanied with the statement of compatibility. The second one, that is correct. Then the common law must be interpreted with the decisions of human course, that is also the correct thing, which is concerning on all those statements. However, the courts may strike out the secondary or not primary legislations, not the primary legislations. Okay, so that is what they can strike out. So, in terms of the next question, Liam was convicted of a criminal offense by a magistrate court. If Liam has grounds to appeal, which court will the case move to next? So, to which court they will move? So, if they could not make sure that they can win the case, so they will move to the higher court, or you can call it as high court. It's not wrong. Okay, so the appeals from magistrate court are heard by the. So there is a special division for that. What is that? QBD, Queen's Bench Division. Okay, good, fine. Can you all try these three? Right, the 33rd one. Which of the following describes the liability of a sole trader of for the debts of the business? So it is unlimited, limited by guarantee, or limited to the amount of capital in business. So what needs to be the option? So it needs to be unlimited liability. Guys, just give me a moment. I'll need to switch my places from here to there. Okay, just give me. Since it's raining, the coverage strikes a bit. So let's discuss the 33rd. So the option for the 33rd needs to be unlimited liability. Now, this is something an easy question. So where your liability in a sole trader is going to be unlimited. Why? You need to sacrifice your personal assets in order to meet your business dues. Okay. However, question number 34. So let's understand what they're trying to ask from here. The latest accountant of TISA Limited showed that the company had profits available for the distribution of 10,000 pounds. So the profit distribution of 10,000 pounds for Mick, the sole trader director of TISA Limited. So he has negligently misinterpreted the accounts and authorized a dividend payment of 20,000 pounds. Okay, this is his negligence. Then John, the Mick's wife and shareholder of TISA Limited, saw the accounts and knew the dividend was unlawful. The other shareholders did not see the accounts. So they are telling that the other shareholders did not see the account, but Mick's wife is a shareholder, but she saw the accounts and she knew that the dividend was unlawful. Right. So which of the following parties are liable for this unlawful dividend? So they're asking us who are liable for this unlawful dividend. So what are your options? Can you share me your options? What did you choose? The 34th one. Okay. So technically, Mick and Joan becomes liable in this situation. Okay. So because the unlawful dividend was aware, or they know, Mick and Joan knew that there is an unlawful dividend. However, since the other shareholders are not aware, there is there was an unlawful dividend has been paid, so they are not responsible for this situation. So technically, a relief may be granted if the mistake is honest and reasonable. So there can be a relief that you can expect if the negligence is honest and reasonable. However, in this case, the misinterpretation was due to the negligence. So here you can't expect a relief. Okay. However, another fact to know, the other shareholders were never knew what what has happened with this dividend distribution, and it has been unlawful, so they were not aware about this negligence. So in this instance, Mick is the person who is causing this. However, the person, his wife, is already aware and she know that there is an unlawful dividend, so she is also liable for this situation. Okay. Next, 35th. An administrator of a company has number of powers that may or may not require the permission of the court to exercise. Okay. So they're asking which of the following is a is a power that usually requires court's approval to exercise. Okay. So if you are appointing an administrator, okay, so they are asking, when you appoint an administrator, what is the power that usually requires the court's approval? So who needs the court approval to exercise things? So do you need to appoint a director, call for a meeting of members, make the payment of preferential creditor? No, you need the court approval if you are making a payment to an unsecured creditor. So it is important. If you are going to relieve an unsecured creditor, then you need to contact the court's approval. All the other actions does not require the court's approval. To appoint a director, or you're going to call a meeting for members, or if you are going to make a payment to creditors, you don't want to have your court's approval. Okay. Good. Yeah. So practice 36th and 37. Okay, the 36th one. LT is an accountant who works for Tapa Limited, a company owned by SP. So LT has devised a scheme. She is devising a scheme where T Limited can illegally disguise the revenues. So they can illegally disguise the certain revenues so that the company's tax charge is reduced. Any that the scheme saves is paid to SP as dividend. So whatever you save from there, it is paid as dividend. Okay, which two offenses has LT committed? So the first one is obviously about laundering, right? So they're into the act of money laundering. Then the second thing that you need to understand, LT is accountant who is working. So then he is failing to report on this matter. So as an accountant, you need to be aware of this situation, but you are not reporting it in the right terms. So your offense that you're committing is to failure to report. So LT is the accountant, okay? He has assisted whom? SP, isn't it? In a money laundering uh, activity. So it is a criminal offense, isn't it? And it is also liable for failing to report. So SP is all the money laundering activities. So what you are failing to report? The money laundering activities. So you need to report this. If not, you are committing an offense which is termed as failure to report. So in the next question, Ian has recently become a father for the first time. Which two of the following are statutory rights that Ian's employer owes him? So you are becoming the father. So what are the two statutory rights that Ian employer, your business, is owing towards you? Okay. The right to statutory paternity leave. Okay. I'll brief tipping off in the next question. Okay. Sure. I'll just brief it right after discussing this checklist. Okay. Good. So for this question, let's move on with this and then I'll come back to the tipping off. Okay. So Ian has recently become a father for the first time. So which two of the following are statutory rights that Ian's employer owes him? Okay. What are the two options that you choose? Now, for these questions, you need to choose two answers. So what are the two things, the two rights that you will get? Right. The first one, The right to statutory of paternity leave and a maximum of 2 weeks. So since you become father, that is a statutory right that you will initially receive. Then the right to change in his terms of employment to allow flexible working, that is not a statutory right. Okay, so that you can talk with your employer, and if he is willing and if he wishes to do a change in that way, then fine. For an instance, you can work from home. So that can be done, but that is not a statutory right, though. Then the right to unpaid paternity leave up to 18 weeks until the child age is 18 should be the answer if the other one is not. The right to protection from redundancy until the child's first birthday. No, the statutory right is you will get maximum of 2 weeks and you will get unpaid leave for 18 weeks until the child is becoming 18. Okay. So you asked me about tipping off. So technically, tipping off means you are disclosing the information. Okay. Or it's a disclosing of information for money laundering. You are tipping it off, letting others know. So in this LT's case, he's not letting it know. He's already into the act. He has disguised the revenue. So he has the device which can illegally devise revenues so that you are not liable. So it reduces your tax charge. So he's already laundering. So if you are already aware that you're laundering, then you are failing to report. Those are the two offenses that you are committing. So tipping off means, so make a note. So you can say tipping off refers. We also give a note to you. Tipping off refers to the act of disclosing information or giving warning to someone who is involved in money laundering. So you're secretly disclosing all those information. So when you disclose those information to do the illegal acts, okay, so we technically call it as tipping off. You're tipping off the information, right? 38th one, that's an easy one. Which of the following will registrar of companies hold hold on a company's file? Copies of all ordinary resolutions, certificate of incorporation, minutes of the board meeting. So registrar will hold the certificate of incorporation. Registrar will hold what? The certificate of incorporation. Fine. Next. Let's try the next two and we'll go to a task question. Okay. So these are some easy questions. You can quickly try it out and share your answers. Okay, let's see. Which of the following is an automatically fair reason for a dismissal? Pregnancy of an employee. So your employee is becoming pregnant. Is it fair to dismiss him? No. Taking part in unofficial industrial action by an employee? Let's check. Okay. Capability of an employee. If you are based on the capability, you can't dismiss automatically. It is unfair. Okay. So if you are taking part in an unofficial industrial action, then we can dismiss you automatically. So that is a fair reason for a dismissal. Then, which two of the following are elements of company's constitution? So elements of company's constitution is articles of association and company's resolution are the two. Okay. Because a company's constitution consists of articles of association and any resolutions or that agreement makes are the two main elements of a company's constitution. Fine. So now let's move into a task question. So we did the first one, we discussed the second one, third one. So this is a good question. So can you try this question? If you have answered the questions, just share what you have chose for A, B, and C. If you are doing, you can take your time. Read the question well, okay? Okay, good. So let's discuss the task question here. Now, see, we have to read it carefully and we need to understand the question first. Okay, so whenever a question in this format is practiced, make sure you read it well and understand the facts so that it will be make your life easy to answer the questions that they have asked. So they are giving us in 2020, FG&H formed a private limited company. So there are three shareholders who are forming a private limited company called FGH Limited to carry out technological research. Each took 100 shares in a company. How many shares? 100 shares in a company. So each of them each of them became a director in a company. So they are the shareholders and they are the directors. So in January 2012, F admitted or Faye admitted that she had been working with a much larger rival company, IX and that she had passed some of FGH research results. She has given some research results to IX company in return for a substantial payment. So for a sum, you have released those information. So F maintains that she has done no harm. So she's thinking that no, she has not done any harm. But as FGH was not capable using the information, nonetheless, G and H are extremely angered by F's actions. So now let's see, this is the story, what they are trying to ask from us. Which two of the following are consequences to directors in breach of their duties company? So which two of the following are consequences? They're asking what are the consequences to directors who are in breach of their duties of the company. The first problem that they will make is to restore the company's property. So how you are going to restore the company's property? Then the rescission of the contract. Now see, those are the two things that you need to initially be worried of. How to restore the company and how to resist the company's contract. Okay. So technically, you can also understand consequences for the directors that are in breach of the duties. Okay. So if the consequences that they have are what? So they can pay to the damage is one method of paying it. Then they can restore the company property. You can restore the company's property. You can repay any profits made by the directors. And you can also say rescission of contract, which is the last point in this case where the director did not disclose any interest. So those are the consequences that they will see in their breach of duties towards the company. Then they are asking us identify whether F acted in the breach of the following duties as a director. So they're asking F's admission, okay, to work as a much larger company, to work with a competitor. Is it a breach or not a breach of the contract? It is a breach, right? Isn't it? So it's a breach. Then the next one, duty not accept benefits from third parties. So the duties accept from the third party, you are receiving a substantial payment. So you have already breached that. So these two occasions you are breaching the laws or the duties. So then identify the resolution and the meeting notice P that G and H he should need to use in order to correctly remove F as a director. So if you want to remove the F as a director, you need an ordinary resolution along with a special notice. Ordinary resolution with a special notice. So if you want to remove a director, you need to make an ordinary resolution with a special notice. Good. So let's discuss the next one as well, the fourth one. So can you all try the fourth one? Okay. So take 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and try this question. Read it well. This is a good question. Okay, so make sure you are receiving this question to your final exam. So if you receive a question from this area, so how you will claim all these 6 marks? So our target is to get 6. So out of, I mean, the base is 6. So how much we are going to get? Okay, so make sure to focus and pay attention to all the necessary information and highlight the respective information and then choose your answer. So you have to be really careful. So think that and mark yourself how much you're going to score this. So it gives you a little bit of a motivation. Okay. Share your answers, guys. Right, let's discuss. 2 years ago, Finn inherited some money and decided to invest the money in a company shares. So he's going to invest in a company shares. At the time, he heard that H Limited was badly in need of additional capital, and the directors had decided that the only way to raise the needed money was to offer the fully paid up £1 shares to new members at a discounted price of 60 pesos per share. So Finn thought the offer was too good to miss, and he subscribed and paid for 20,000 new shares on this basis. However, H Limited has since gone into insolvent liquidation, owing a considerable sum of money to its unsecured creditors. Okay. With the remaining money of his investment, Finn subscribed 10,000 shares in IPLC, although they were they were nominally at £1 per share, but he was required to pay £2 for each share he has subscribed. The shares are currently trading at $2.5 per share. So now the question is, which of the following describes Finn's liability to Eve H Limited's debts? So they are now, is Finn is jointly liable for all company debts, or no liability because he has already paid for his full of shares, or he's liable for £8,000, or he's liable up to £8,000 depending on the amount H Limited owes. So what needs to be the right answer? What is your choice? I got the choice from Kaif. Kaif is have responded. What about others? What is the situation? The first thing that you need to understand in this question is, what is your nominal price or your par value? In other terms, your par value. Your par value is £1, but you are selling at 60 pesos, which is 60 cents in other terms. Is it legal? It is not legal. In the eyes of law, you can never discount your par value. You can't sell a share at a which are discounted at a par value. You can't discount your shares. Always remember, you can't discount your shares at par value. So at what value the shares will be discounted? Technically, if that's your fair value or your market value of your shares, from that you can discount. However, your par value cannot be discounted. So technically, £1 worth of shares you are buying at 60 cents means you need to understand that you are still owing the company for this 20,000 shares for the difference. So when I say the difference from £1, you have paid only 60 pesos. So which means only 40 cents is the difference. This difference is liable to be paid. This is liable to be paid. Why this is liable to be paid? So technically, 20,000 into zero point 0.4. So finally, you are getting some calculations in your phone. Oh, sorry, it's 0.4. 20,000 into 0.4, which is £8,000. So you are liable for another £8,000. You are liable up to another £8,000 per share, depending on the amount of each company is owing. So that is your right. answer. And also you need to remember, you can never discount your par value and sell your shares. Even if it has been sold, you need to pay the balance. So the problem here is technically the business is going insolvent. So when you go insolvent, you need to understand that. So business in trouble to pay your creditors, and the law is telling you you can never sell a share below the nominal price. So whatever the difference, you are still liable to the company so that the company can settle those dues to the creditors. Okay. So that part of understanding is important. So why not in full? So what do you mean by why not in full? You're asking me at the par value or for $1, or you're talking for the liability? Now see, why not in full? Okay, the third answer. Liability in full for 800 pounds. Now, let's assume the liability that you owe to the shareholders is only, or it can be unsecured creditors, right? In this term, let's assume it is only 2,000 pounds. Then you are liable only up to that point, because this is a limited liability company, right? So your liability is limited to the capital investor. Okay. So in that occasion, you can uh, be liable up to whatever you are holding. So since it's limited liability companies, that is where you need to show them. Okay. So that's why the answer here. Now, if the third and the fourth option is not available for you, means then you can choose the second one. That would be the most suitable. Okay. Right. So be a little careful with those wordings when it comes to shares, at what price they are going to discount. So technically, you should always discount at market price. So I'll ask you another question since it's shares. Okay. So what are right issues? We discussed these right issues in our previous session. What are right issues? Who can give me a definition for right issues? Who can give me a definition for the right issues of shares? Ashfa, what do you mean by right issue? Okay, company issue shares to the existing shareholders. Not bad, not bad. Good answer, but it is not complete, I would say. Your understanding is good, of course. Issues of at a discount, market value. Good suggestions. Okay, guys, let's discuss this. So when it comes to right issues, okay, let's assume we are running a company. So the shareholders are, let me draw this for you so that we understand things better. So we are forming a company. So Ashfa is a shareholder, Hazan is a shareholder, and let's say Kaif is a shareholder, and also Roshani is also a shareholder. So we all four are shareholders. So let's assume we have equally bought shares, 100 shares each. So when the company grows, your share prices will also reflect the growth of the company. So if the share price is technically inclining or if it is increasing, okay, so your company's performance will be reflected so that you get a better pay. So you are already deciding to sell your shares at £1, but now the fair value, since your performance has gone up, your earning per share, or like the share value that you're going to get, is, let's assume, around £2.5. So technically, you're making a premium of 1.5. Fine. But now let's assume you're going to expand your business. I'm going to open a new branch. Okay, I'm coming up with a new branch. So to come up with this new branch, I need more funds, isn't it? That's how businesses grow, right? You need more funds. So there are varieties of ways to raise funds. Either you can make your business a franchising model. Okay. So that depends on your business need, or you can open your own branch. Okay. You can have your own kid When I say you can have your own kitchen, you can decide whether you need to open from your company funds. So when you are raising funds, now there are two ways the companies can raise funds. What are those two ways? Who can tell me? You would have studied in your law paper, especially. There are two ways of raising funds. Who can tell? A company would raise funds to invest in two ways. What are those? Equity capital or debt capital. Equity capital or debt capital. Why do I say that? Equity capital is generated from your shareholders. Debt capital you will borrow. Debt capital means you will borrow. Okay, so you are borrowing from others. Fine. So now companies will choose whatever the method that they are going to fund. So sometimes borrowing the borrowing. Sorry, guys. Okay. So now to fund this organization, we know technically debt source is cheaper, right? Isn't it? Why debt source is cheaper? Who can tell me the reason why debt source is cheaper to borrow compared to equity? Debt source is cheaper to borrow. Or why? Who can tell me why? Yeah, what makes you the cost of capital cheaper? Good, good. What makes your cost of capital cheaper? So, what is the cost of capital for debt? What is the cost of capital for debt? And what is the cost of capital for equity? So, Rosh, no need to pay dividend. Okay, fine. Good, good. Your answers are good, but I'm trying to streamline you all with a better understanding. Guys, the cost of capital. What do you mean by cost of capital? First, you need to understand this. What is this cost of capital? Cost of capital means, guys, think from business point of view. Okay, you need to think from business point of view. Now, will I ever give my money on a business, on a commercial substance, free for anyone? Will you just go and invest in a company for free? No. So if someone is giving you money, now if you are receiving it in the form of equity means company needs to pay out dividends. They need to pay out what? Dividends. So that is the cost of capital to the company when they receive, when they borrow money by issuing shares. So the cost of capital that they need to pay is dividends. So that is dividend. The cost of capital when you borrow. Now see, will anyone provide you free of money? Or if you go to bank, they will not, never give you free. They will always top up with something called interest. So the cost of capital borrowing debts is interest, right? But my question is not this. I asked a question beyond this. I asked you why the debt source is cheaper to a company in borrowing uh, funds to the organization. It is cheaper because it gives you tax benefit. So when I say what is tax benefit, because it reduces your tax by the interest cost. Okay. So when you deduct your interest, so after deduction of interest only, the amount remaining you need to pay taxes. So that is the benefit you are receiving. But dividend, whatever the dividend pay, will not reduce your tax benefit. Dividend pay will not reduce your tax benefit. I can expand this understanding beyond this, but I will just stop this at the point. Okay, just to understand things. Otherwise, we'll not understand the purpose, what I'm trying to explain now. So you can draw the diagram like that. Okay, coming back to the situation. Now you are borrowing money using equity sources. So when you borrow, let's assume you are decide to borrow money using equity sources. You might be thinking going with debt is cheaper, but still I say you something. You need to provide some sort of a security. So then it becomes a secured creditor. You got it. So you have your own plus or own pros and cons when you're borrowing money. So what happens when you borrow debt capital? If your company is going to liquidate or if your company is going to die, you need to make sure to settle these buggers first. That is a must thing. You need to completely settle your secured creditors. So that is the risk that you have to face later. But equity holders is not that way. So if they are ordinary shareholders, let's say you will pay them at a, if you have, you will pay them. If you don't have, even if you have, you will pay them last after settling up all the other creditors above, isn't it? So that benefit that you will gain by issuing equity shares. But there are pros and cons, as I told. It depends on the situation and the scenario that the examiner is providing. So you have to be very wise in thinking from all the areas. Now, in this instance, uh, I'm coming to explain the right issues here. So technically, to raise more funds, I can choose to issue, I can choose to issue right issues. Why? If choose to issue right issue, now I'll give you the definition of right issue. Okay, take it down. Right issues means you are distributing or you are issuing new shares. You are issuing what? New shares to the existing shareholders. To whom you are giving this? Not new shares provided to the not new shareholders, it is not for the new shareholders, it is for the existing shareholders. So right issues means you are issuing shares to the existing shareholders. Why you are giving to these existing shareholders? Then our control will be still be within us. So still I will own the company with more shares now. Or we all four will own the company with more shares. If I bring new people in, so it is like too many people is sharing the piece of cake. So it's going to be a headache for us, isn't it? So everyone will fight over Russia. So it would be better to go with the existing shareholders at a discounted price so that you can have the control of the company still vested with you. If not, you will lose the company's control. Now, why am I explaining all these factors? Because examiner can play around on these understandings and he can throw out a scenario. And technically, you need to understand this is not accounts yet again. I'm coming back to this because here you need to think from law point of view. What is legal and what is illegal? What is fair and what is not fair? So this something has gone wrong here. How that needs to be judged. Now, don't think from an accounting perspective. You need to criticize. You need to think, okay, this is what is happening in the market. So my shares are sold at this price. So there is a victim party, there is an affected party here. So what justice you can provide to them? So this is the thought that you need to bring in when you are reading questions. I know the fact that every one of us are accountants here, right? So we have an understanding. We read the questions with that accounting factoring or accounting factors in our mind, and you try to answer. No, in this case, you need to be a judge. Let's assume you are a judge. You are sitting. You are viewing these cases. Okay, so when you come across these situations, so you know the law. You should know the law. What is happening behind? Then only you can apply the relevant remedy to it. So that part of understanding is important. So in a company, we can mess up with shares. So then what we need to know? So then you need to understand when it comes to companies, there are types of companies where the problems with the private limited companies, the problems with the public limited companies, the conditions to meet, who needs to prepare accounts, who don't want to prepare accounts. You need to have this clear understanding. Okay, and yet again, I will also say this is not business studies, this is law paper. So you need to always switch your gears in ACCA. That's very important. When I say switch your gears in ACCA, the way you think and address that problem needs to change. So that is what is more important for your exams. So you need to practice questions with that mindset. That is really, really, really important. It's not about getting the correct answer. It is, yet again, I'll just revise it to you again, because it is not getting the right answer. It is about understanding why you are not choosing the others. Okay, especially when it comes to law paper, it is not difficult and it is not too easy. Okay, so you now, certain questions, I know that as a student we will have doubts on certain areas. Did I choose the right answer here? How can you convince yourself? So for that only you need to develop that mentality. You got it. You need to sit and do, you need to understand the concept well. That concept is really, really important. This is where your short summaries matters. So I told you to make your short summaries. Okay. um so that part is really measured. So if you were in my physical class, I would have made the short summaries to each and every chapter as I'm done. It is really, really, really crucial. Why do I say that? Because whenever we do crutch questions, whenever you practice questions, keep that aside next to you. So sometimes you need to think. I love people when they are investigating, when they're trying to understand the question. Okay, why they are going wrong here. It's not about just saying true or false. Okay, so try to gear up yourself, make sure you are thinking in that way, so that your exam questions in your screen is going to be easy. Okay, so I have faced students who have completed the full exam kit but still they have failed the exams. It is not about completing your exam kit. Now it doesn't mean that you're not going to practice any questions, but there is the way to practice questions that is important. So how you need to sit, how you need to think, that part you need to change, guys. You need to change. It's don't be ordinary. You can't be ordinary here. Okay. So in your skills level, not only law. Now, when you come to tax, there also you can't be an accountant. You have to be a tax accountant. You need to sit and think. Okay, I'm going to study something called tax. What is this? What we are doing here? I mean, this is not the tax TRG session or an exam success plan, but the success here is the way you gear up. All right, okay. This is not your business studies. This is not your accounting. So make sure you are a judge. You are dealing with cases and you are providing solutions to it. So then the questions will be a piece of cake in your eyes. Okay. Right. Coming back to the question. So let's discuss the next part. Now you need to say, is it true or false? Now these things will be easy after those explanation for you to answer. So let me take. IPLC must transfer the excess fin paid over the nominal value of shares to a general reserve. Do you transfer it to a general reserve? No. The excess money received, we call it as share premium, isn't it? You call it as a share premium. The share premium is charged to share premium account. The excess fund is charged to share premium account. So it is false. It needs to be false. Any doubts, anyone? Anyone is having any doubts in that part? If you have questions, you can ask me. Okay, fine. Then IPLC is not permitted to pay excess fin paid over the nominal value of the shares as dividend. Can you issue the share premium, the excess money that you collect as dividends? The share premium is not a distributive, or it's a non-distributable reserve, I would say. What is that? It is a non-distributable reserve. If you don't know, make a note. Why do I say non-distributable reserve? Guys, always remember you can't pay dividends. from the excess money that you are collecting from the shareholders. Why? Because you're borrowing this money for a specific purpose. You're borrowing money for a specific purpose. What is the specific purpose here? What is the specific purpose here? Specific purpose, when you borrow share premium, you initially you don't know how much of expenses you would expect actually to pay. So I might be thinking, okay, it can be 15,000, but actually the market rate is around 25,000. So to be on the safe side, companies issue at a market price, not at the nominal price. But in this case, they are telling us IPLC is not permitted to pay the excess over the nominal value as shares as dividend. That is true. That is true. They can't pay the excess. They are not permitted. They are not permitted. If they say they are permitted, then that is wrong. That is false. They are not permitted to pay as dividend. So now see, in questions like this, you can go wrong if you don't understand the English there. That is important. So the next fact I want to give to your exam as a tip: read at your own pace. There is enough time for law paper. Okay. So make sure you are timing it. Now you need to practice papers by timing now. Okay. So there will be enough time. Okay. You'll have enough time in the clock. Make sure you read the information correctly. Otherwise, what will happen is thinking that it is the correct answer, but you will choose the wrong option. So in vain. Okay. In vain. Right. And also, I'll try to, not try, I'll give you another fact. You can distribute dividends only from what reserve? Who can tell me? You can pay out dividends from what reserve? Companies can pay dividends from what reserves? Very good, guy. Companies can pay out dividends only from retained earnings. Okay. So retained dividends means the profits that you pay out. So you need to pay the profits to your shareholder through the profit that you're making from your business activities. You can't collect the excess money from them and pay it. Is it reasonable? No, it is not reasonable. This is now see, you need to look this from the law point of view. It is not fair. So it is like I am borrowing 200,000 from you, but actually I need only 100,000 and I pay that dividends from you, I mean to you, for that extra money I have collected. That is not fair. Okay, fine. Then IPLC is permitted to use excess fin paid over the nominal value of the shares as bonus issue. Can you use to bonus issue? Yes. What is bonus issue? What's the definition for bonus issue? Or what's the double entry for bonus issue? Okay, let me talk a bit of accounting here. So the double entry for the bonus issue is going to be your share capital account credit, because your cap anyways, since you are giving free shares, bonus issues is free shares, so you're capitalizing your reserves. Okay. So when you're issuing free shares, your share value will go up. Okay. So which means your share capital is credited and you can pay out that from your share premium account. So share premium account debited. So that's the double entry. However, they are saying it is permitted. PLC is permitted to use the excess money to pay bonus issues. Yes, that is a true fact. Okay. Right. The last one, IPLC is permitted to repay the excess over the nominal value of the shares back to him as cash payments. Can you pay back as cash payments? No, that is false. You can't pay it. Huh? Pay it. Is that clear? Fine. So let's come to the fifth one. Right after discussing the next, there were a few questions that to go from this area. Yes. Can you try? Question number 41 and 42. Right. The 41. Which two of the following are criminal offenses that the directors of a company may commit as a consequence of their company being insolvent? Okay. So what are the criminal offenses you see? So one of the criminal offense is that if you make a false declaration of solvency, it's a criminal offense, isn't it? The other one I would also think is that the directors can commit criminal offense if they are trading wrongfully. Okay. So in this instance, all these offenses may be committed by a director. A director can actually commit all these consequences, isn't it? Or in other terms, the offenses. But making false declaration and wrongful trading will push them to be insolvent. You got it? The question here is the offenses which pushes you to become insolvent. So it is going to pull you out of the business. So you have to be very careful here. So abusing the position is an offense. Acting as a direct while disqualified is an offense. But still, the question here is what are the offenses that a director can commit to push your company being insolvent? So if your company is being insolvent, then you need to determine the answers which are related to that. Okay. Which of the following remedies for the breach of contract involves the injured party claiming the value of the work they have done? Okay. So, what is that? That is contempt merit. Okay. Let me give some explanations on those. So, first, take down some points. So, it will be a revising factor. So, in a contempt merit, what happens is you have the injured party. So the injured party claim the value for the work they have done. So what do you mean by action for price? So action for price means is to recover a specific amount. It is about recovering a specific amount. What do you mean by specific performance here? So here the defendant, okay, I would call him as the defendant, needs to perform as he has agreed already in a contract. So I would say the defendant yeah, you can understand in that way. So what is rescission? So rescission means you are reversing things. Okay, you are reversing back. You're putting the parties back to the pre-contract situation. So before the contract, how you would have been. So it's reversing back to a pre-contract situation. Now see, these are some remedies, isn't it? Remedies means the solutions. So they're asking us which of the following remedy for a breach of contract involves the injured party claiming the value of the work they have done. That is quantum merit. So quantum merit means what? You need to know this definition. The injured party can claim the value for the work they have done. So what do you mean by action for price? You are recovering a specific amount. Is that remedy? Then specific performance means the defendant performing his duties as agreed in the contract. Now, that is a remedy. So, as now, for an example, let's assume your wedding is coming. So, I'm taking a contract to paint your house, and I'm telling that I'll finish it 2 days before your wedding. But unfortunately, I'm not doing that. So, there's only one more day to go. So, as per the contract I told you, I'll be finishing that. So now I have stopped halfway, saying that some reasons. But can you do that? No. So if you go for quotes, so the judgment would be to perform that because you have already agreed on that. So tomorrow is your wedding. Okay. So you need to make sure things goes correct. Fine. Then rescission means you are revising or reversing to a pre-contract situation. So why do I say it's reversing to a pre-contract situation? For example, let's assume we both invest money and you are into an agreement saying that I'll make sure I'm investing into the right accounts with my fullest knowledge and to the respective investment platforms and make sure that you are receiving better benefits to your investments made. So if you are agreeing to that and if you are not satisfying that, then you need to pay back all my money. So I will be in a position where I have not lost my money or I have not invested my money at this point. So I just gave you a random example just to understand. Okay. But you should know these remedies and you should know the definition for these remedies. Then only it will be easy for you to tackle questions tested from this area. Then The 43rd one, in relation to the contract law, in relation to the contract law, which of the following statements in relation to acceptance of an offer is correct? So, can you accept? Acceptance may be indicated by personal silence or person silence. Acceptance must be made verbally. Acceptance must be inferred from a person's actions. What is the correct thing? Silence is not an acceptance. Silence is not an acceptance. Then you, it is not must for you to make things verbally. So technically, acceptance may be inferred from person's actions. Okay, so acceptance may be inferred by person's actions. Is the right option in this situation? Fine. The next question: which of the following parties are owed a duty of care by an accountant in respect of accounts that they have produced? Now they're asking the duty owed by an accountant in respect to the accounts that he has produced. So the duty owed by the accountant is to the client only, or the client and any person relying on that accounts, or the client and any person that accountant knows will rely on the accounts, and the client and the public at large. What is the correct answer? What is the right option? Let's assume you are receiving this question in your exam screen. What's the answer you will choose? Hi, Roshani, Ashfaq. Hey, the correct answer is the accountant owes a duty to the client and anyone that accountant knew that they will rely on what they have produced, isn't it? Otherwise, it is unfair any person relying on the account. So, for an example, let's assume I'm an investor, an ex-investor, a new investor. I see your financial results and I invest. So it doesn't mean that you asked me to invest here. So it is unfair if you are charged on those activities, isn't it? But if I know that I will use these results to make decisions, then it becomes your headache. Okay. And last one. What needs to be the answer? It's an easy question, but you need to think very precisely. I need answers from you. So think that this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can choose the options. Okay. Now they are asking which of the two contracts will have intention to create legal relations to be presumed. Okay. So a contract between a man and his brother in relation to transfer a property between them, yes, there is a intention to create some legal actions, isn't it? A contract between two friends for one to wash an other's car? No, there is no any legal relations existing here. Okay. Then a contract between mother and a daughter to pay the mother's housekeeping? No. Family matters is not having the intention to create a legal fact. A contract of employment, yes, of course, it has the contract or it has the intention to create matters or on legal terms. Okay. So technically, the courts will infer any intention where the property is transferred between family members, okay, technically. But an employment of the contract is commercial. So when it comes to commercial in nature, so therefore here the intention can be presumed. However, the other two options are what? They are domestic. Okay. So these are domestic matters. So domestic matters does not encountered as to creation of any legal relations. Fine. So we are done with discussing the first 45. So can you do the last one? It's a good, also a nice question. It's an easy question though. Try to do it. So let's do this question. Jazz PLC is listed in London Stock Exchange. So Kip works as Jazz accountant. So Kip is an accountant. While drawing up annual accounts, Kip noticed that JPLC's profits were better than anyone could have expected. As a consequence of this knowledge, he bought shares in J. Before its good results were announced. Before its good results were announced. Guys, just give me a moment. Sorry for that. Before its good results were announced, okay, so before the good results were announced, he was aware about this information. This is a price sensitive information. Okay, let's read on. He made a substantial profit. See, he's making a substantial profits on this dealing. And he's informing his friend Lou about this situation. And Lou is also, his friend is also buying shares from him. So they're asking us which two of the following are elements of the definition of inside information. So what is inside information? So inside informations are price sensitive informations. The confidential information in a company, the price sensitive informations. So in this case, the elements of the inside information is being specific or precise, and what needs to be the other. It is likely to have a significant effect on the price of securities. Okay. So technically, in accordance with the Criminal Justice Act, okay, you've got a act called Criminal Justice Act, which is 1993. Okay. Uh, yeah, let me explain that. Okay. So yes, let me explain that. Okay. So it defines in this act, you should know this act. So this act is defining us the inside information as four things. Okay. So the first thing that they are telling is an inside information is needs to be what? Relating to a particular securities. Needs to be relating to particular securities. So that's the first fact. And then they are telling us it is should be being specific or precise. It should not be made public. That is why the third one is not the answer. It should not. Okay. Then they are telling us it is likely to have the significant effect on the price of securities. Okay, so these are the ones that you need to understand, but we are going to apply to this scenario. So the elements of the definition of inside information needs to be specific or precise and should cause significant effect to the price of securities, because you are making a substantial profits. That is signifying that it is causing a significant effect on this price of securities. Okay. Then you need to also understand Kip and Lou have committed some negligence. So in terms of Kip, so who is Kip? Kip is your accountant. Has he engaged in inside information? Yes, he has traded the inside information, and he is encouraging another deal. So which means he has committed both the offenses. But Lou is his friend. He has bought the shares. Okay. So he is just using the inside information. So he is committing only this part of his negligence. Okay. So this is bit about our discussions for the day. Okay. So what you need to do, I will send you another paper. Okay. And I'll try to meet y'all on Sunday. I was planning to meet y'all tomorrow, but technically I have a doubt to meet y'all tomorrow because I'm in a plan a bit. Okay, so if is possible, I'll just drop you a message to meet you back. If not, let's meet on Sunday. So what I want you all to do is I'll send you a new mock paper. Okay. So it is along with the exam guidance, a similar kind of paper. You need to make sure attempt it within 2 hours with exam conditions. So when I say exam conditions, no bathroom breaks, okay? Or washroom, whatever. So let's assume you are starting at 7. You need to wake up at 9. I'm pretty sure you can finish the paper before that. I'm 100% confident you can answer the paper within that duration. Okay. Then let's discuss this paper on the next day because I want you all to attempt it and make sure you're choosing your answers. And when I'm discussing it, you can correct it. And if you have doubts, you can discuss it on that day. Okay. So meanwhile, today it's Wednesday. Go to your chapters, go through your summaries today and tomorrow. It is important. You need to have the theoretical understanding, okay, just to revise things in a quick way and then understand your strengths and your weaknesses. So you can be sound in certain areas. You might be blind in certain areas. So choose the topics that you are strength and choose the topics that your weaknesses and make sure you are practicing few questions and trying to get the answer on yourself. Okay, if not, make sure you read the theoretical parts well and come back to these questions and try to get the answer. It's important. Then on Saturday, make sure you're practicing my mock paper. So I'll call it as mock 2. So once you practice your mock paper, let's get our results on Saturday. That's our plan. Okay. Or else, if you have other papers also practicing, I don't know the pattern of studying, how you guys are studying. Okay. So you would have planned to do the exams next week, most of you, and you might have planning. Okay. So sitting for the exam tomorrow. All the best. If you have questions, you can shoot it out to me tonight. Okay. So I'll address some questions if you have. Okay. The preparation, if you are sitting for exams tomorrow, if you have booked the exams for tomorrow, um, obviously you would have covered the syllabus, right? So don't panic yourself now, I would say. So this is a paper, as I told you, you need to read the question well. Okay. Have some common sense also. How to have the common sense? You can't think as an accountant to answer the law paper. Then you don't have the common sense. Okay. You need to understand, okay, these questions are thrown from a law perspective. So where law is trying to give a solution which is fair in this case. So try to choose the fair ones. Or else sometimes they can ask you to choose the unfair ones. So you need to understand the question. Okay. So make sure you know the theory, you know the regulations of your questions, and then give your paper. All the best for that. Anyone else is sitting for the exams this week? Okay. So fine. Don't stress yourself. If you're sitting for exams, then you need to relax. Because the thing is, you already know this. It's only a matter of choosing the right answer. Okay. Don't get panicked. You can give it. It will be very similar to your BT paper. If you have done your BT paper, it will be very similar. But here you will get 45 MCQs. Okay. You will get 45 multiple choice questions and not six, 5 multiple task questions. Anyways, your passing score is 50%. That is your pass mark. But you need to score more than that. All the best. Okay. If you have any questions, you can ask me. If not, we can wind up the session for today. Okay, guys, good night. See you all then.